Dark Shadows, interestingly enough, is almost more current today than it was 30 years ago. There's much more interest, since the world is in such a terrible state of upheaval. There's much more interest in the occult and in unseen forces that we can't control, and we're just beginning to discover and think about than there was in those days. The 70s were relatively peaceful, really, compared to what's going on now. We did have Vietnam, but we don't want to talk about serious things. What was special about Dark Shadows was the quality of the productions. We had wonderful directors, Henry Kaplan, Peter Miner. There was a lady director whose name eludes me, who directed the last few episodes that I was in. We had imaginative costuming, wonderful technical things. We had more special effects in one half-hour show than any other soap had in a month. I mean, every bookcase was on a swivel and propelled you into another time zone if you walk through it. It was fun, and people really got hooked on it. Our core audience were children, really. 11 to 15 seemed to be the age where they were riveted by it. They would run home from school to get to the TV. Also domestic help. That was a great public. And shut-ins, and even barflies. I would sometimes walk by a bar around 4 o'clock, which I think is the time that we aired, and look in, and they'd be sitting there looking at Dark Shadows and having their afternoon beer or whatever. I'm not at all surprised that it's being reissued, and I think it will be enormously popular and deserves to be. Dan Curtis was a courageous and innovative producer, and he was a hands-on producer too. He didn't just package it all and go off and do something else. And it deserved, I felt, it deserved the success that it had. And I'm hopeful that it will have further success and enchant a whole other generation of people. The people that I know that liked it 30 years ago are absolutely thrilled that it's going to be on a DVD and they can see it again. I had known Joan Bennett before Dark Shadows. My husband produced and directed all the touring companies of Auntie Mame, and her sister Constance played the Auntie Mame in the National Company, the first one that my husband sent out. And somewhere along the line we met, and she was a charming, sweet woman with a very intelligent, nice husband. And we would meet occasionally in other people's houses at dinner parties. And she was not only beautiful, but she had a wonderful kind of dignity, and she brought a kind of weight to the storyline that seemed to hold it all in some secure way that was very necessary, because all the rest of it was nutty, really, in an imaginative, entertaining way, but it was so far out that this solid core of a respectable dowager to anchor all of this was a very important part of the story, beside which she was an enchanting, beautiful, lovely actress, and enhanced whatever material was given her. What I never remember, but I think God doesn't let actresses remember it, are the scripts. I mean, I have never stopped working. I've been working since I was 18 years old. So I've done over 100 plays by now. I can't remember a word of any of them until there's a reason. And then if you hand me the script, it all comes flooding back. But it's just a very pleasant interlude in my life, and was a program that gave people a great deal of pleasure and release. I mean, we're living in an age where we feel that we have so little control over anything, that to have a respite from that kind of anxiety for a half an hour or an hour or however long it takes is really what people are looking for and what they need now. And I see that with my own work, which in the last 20 years has been concert versions of vintage musicals, and most of them have a strong comedic element, and people are so grateful for it. They just love something that entertains them, shuts out reality for a few minutes, and gives them some pleasure. And that's the great, great appeal of Dark Shadows, that it really captures your imagination and gives you a whole other level of thinking. And that's why it's going to be so successful.